Prada, make it daughter. Call me dad, but I ain't even been a father. Lurking in the dust, dodging devils.
And we back like we never left. It's Livezone from Livezone Sports with Mazzi here, of course, as always. We are here on Dynamics on the Hardwood talking about a lot of different things going on in the NBA right now. Mazzi, before we get going, how you doing?
I'm doing good, brother. How are you today?
We're doing great. We're doing great. As of right now, we have a trade that has happened that has shaken up the whole NBA. Gonna get into it. Karl Anthony Towns being sent to the New York Knicks in exchange for Dante DiVincenzo and Julius Randle. How you feeling about the trade?
Wow, this one threw me for a little bit of a loop. I wasn't expecting it. We're in the midst of baseball playoffs right now and football season in mid-swing. Sometimes I forget basketball's right around the corner and that there's moves being made in the background. This was one of those moves where it caught my eye as soon as I saw the banner pop up on my phone. Um, I think I think the New York Knicks did an amazing job with this trade. To be honest, I think they're now highly regarded second team in the Eastern Conference, right behind the Celtics for sure. Adding Cat to that team with Brunson, who can put it up, with Hart, who's a great distributor and just team leader and motivator and uniting force. And the way the Knicks played last year, with the injury bug coming to bite them, that's the only thing that kind of concerns me about Cat with his injury, previous issues and whatnot. However you want to put it, that's the only thing that worries me a little bit. But I think they got a better player for what they gave up. I definitely am excited to see how this works for them. Then looking at the Minnesota Timberwolves side, you got Anthony Edwards still dog, gonna be a dog forever. Going up with Julius Randle now and Devontae DiVincenzo, a three-point shooter in Devontae, gonna be able to spread the floor a little bit more. Julius Randle, only thing I'm concerned about with him again is injuries as well, aging over time and just keeping it together for a full season with that man. No disrespect to his ball playing, but if I had to choose what team won, I'm going to have to say the New York Knicks because I think they elevated their position in contention, whereas I think the Minnesota Timberwolves on the Western Conference may have maintained where they're at or slipped a spot or two, but I don't really think they elevated themselves to a level, on paper at least, until we see what they can possibly do in person.
All right, all right. So there's a lot to unpack here on my side, okay? First of all, the trade was originally supposed to happen during this year's NBA draft, and it didn't end up happening. Uh, Karl Anthony Towns was proposed for Julius Randle and Mitchell Robinson, but that didn't end up happening because Dante DiVincenzo was unhappy with his role in the New York Knicks system, making it so he wanted to leave. He didn't want to be there. So instead of having Julius Randle and Mitchell Robinson shipped off to Minnesota, they ended up keeping Mitchell Robinson, which was a center that was definitely needed for bench presence or even when injuries happen on the court at the beginning of the game. But losing Dante, that definitely hurt the New York Knicks. The New York Knicks are 110% now the second best team in the Eastern Conference. I agree with you 110% about that. But they lost a shooter in Dante DiVincenzo. That was definitely important during that run in the playoffs last year, number one. Number two is Julius Randle. Arguably, it might be a little bit of a hot take to some people, but arguably is a better shooter than Karl Anthony Towns. Karl Anthony Towns can bang down in the presence, but when it comes to shooting, it's 50-50 there. If not, it's 51-49, right? So, I mean, it's pretty equal on that side. But Minnesota, they definitely wanted to space the floor out more. They know that they have Rudy Gobert down there. They don't need another guy like Karl Anthony Towns down with Rudy Gobert. The Twin Tower presence wasn't working for Minnesota. They ended up trading Karl Anthony Towns that didn't want to be traded to begin with for a guy that can shoot the ball, give you a little bit more spacing, and now you have a three-point shooter in Dante DiVincenzo. It leaves Anthony Edwards to go to the lane 10 times more than what he's doing, and that's his game. So it made sense for Minnesota. It made sense for New York as well. I'm not taking anything away from New York. It's just that they have a lot of young talent that needs to step up in the playoffs on that bench presence. I'm not saying it can't happen, but to me, this is just a building year for the New York Knicks. Obviously, they have their eyes still on Donovan Mitchell, and bringing in a piece like Karl Anthony Towns could possibly persuade Donovan Mitchell to be a New York Knick when his contract is up. So, in my eyes, it was a fair trade. It was even. We're going to see how it plays out in the Western and Eastern Conference. Obviously, injuries play a role. If injuries do play a role for Julius Randle or for Karl Anthony Towns, it doesn't really mean that the trade was won or lost. But, Karl Anthony Towns already getting greeted by those New York fans saying, "Don't come here and play like a bitch." It's definitely a sight to see in New York right now, so we shall see what happens.
Yeah, I don't know how he's going to be in New York. That's the only thing. He's got too much of a nice personality, I feel, to make it in New York with the New York fan base. And again, same with the Boston type fan base as well.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you, which is why I'm saying I don't know who won it yet, but as of right now, it looks pretty even. Karl Anthony Towns was definitely mad about being traded. The other teams that were trying to go out and trade for him were the likes of the Golden State Warriors, the Boston Celtics, and I'm pretty sure Cleveland was involved as well. So it means that these stars are wanting to play with a guy like Cat. So I mean, it's definitely a sign of good things to come for New York, but they need to build that bench more. With that being said, though, we're gonna transition into something else here. We already talked about who won the trade. Now I want to talk to you about going into your 5 teams for the NBA season. Before the NBA season starts, this is very early, but at the end of the day, who do you see being the top 5 teams in the NBA?
College football season is in full swing and Rhythm users are cashing in. Since the start of the season, over 20,000 bets have been tracked using Rhythm's AI-powered predictions with an impressive 7% ROI across that massive sample size. The numbers speak for themselves. Just last weekend, Rhythm users tracked 4,044 spread bets for a 14.3% ROI, 2,721 total bets for 16.9% ROI, and 1,984 moneyline bets with an incredible 21.5% ROI. With results like these, it's time to invest in Rhythm. Get in on the action with a free 7-day trial and dominate football this fall.
Yeah, so this is way too early to tell. I haven't even looked at roster sheets, really, depth charts, gone into how the chemistry is going to figure out. This is on paper, in your face, what I think is going to happen, and a lot of it's based on last year. So I'm going to start it off with my number 5 team. I got 4 teams in the East this year, and I got 1 team in the West on this list to start the year. I do have the Philadelphia 76ers at number 5. I am usually the one writing off Joel Embiid and this 76ers team before the season starts at all. And believe me, I'd love to do that again. I just think 7, 8 years in a row of calling it, I'm bound to lose one, and I'm thinking this is the year for the 76ers to make a run, actually have things hold together, nobody get injured, nobody go out with injury, nobody get traded away. That's a viable piece. That's a vital piece. I think maybe it's a year for the 76ers to make a deep run in the playoffs. Again, everybody on this list is playing second to the team at number 1, and I think we all know who that's going to be, but we're going to move on from the list. We're going to go to number 4. I have the Milwaukee Bucks. I still have Giannis in the conversation of being the top on the best team in the league. The man's a freak. He has the name, the Greek Freak, for a reason. He can do a lot of things that a lot of people can't. It takes him 4 steps from 1 3-point line to the basket. I mean, not a lot of people are doing that, and it's just crazy. If he can make his free throws and make timely shots or distribute where he needs to or take over the game where he needs to. There's been so many times where he just doesn't take over the game and they're down 6 and they need 3 quality possessions and he drives it twice and the third time he passes it for a shot where he could have just got a bucket again. He needs to use his body, get to the rim, and really overpower it. But Milwaukee's got championship pedigree written all over the team. I mean, they kind of remind me of over the past 5-6 years, the likes of Kansas City without the championships. You know, they're just always in the playoffs. They're hanging around. Moving up the list, I do have my Western Conference team. Nikola Jokic and the Denver Nuggets. Again, on paper, you still got to give them credit where credit's due. Aaron Gordon, Jamal Murray, Nikola Jokic, staying with the same coach. I mean, the bench on that team is ridiculous. The depth is there. If everybody stays healthy and they can have another year where everybody comes together and gets everything cooking, it's inevitable. It can definitely happen again. Moving up, I am putting those New York Knicks that we just talked about at number 2 on my list to be on the lookout for. I'm loving the Cat trade, honestly. It has 180'd me completely on the Knicks. If you were here last year, Knicks were barely making playoffs for me, and I think I got that right, actually, by the way. But you know, I counted them out from the start. And this year, I'm counting them in from the start. I'm giving them that benefit of the doubt. Give Spike Lee the chance, you know. Or that's who's at the game, right? Spike
Yep.
Lee? Yeah. You know, Cat, Brunson, Hart. I mean, that's a pretty good 3 in today's NBA. I haven't seen them play. I think it's gonna work. They were not far from making a run in the playoffs last year, and I think it's an upgrade from Julius Randle. That's just my own opinion on the matter. And then finally, without further ado, we go to number 1. It's the Boston Celtics. I mean, come on. How many players did they have on the Olympic team? One of them got cut. They almost had a whole starting 5 on the Olympic team. They won the championship outright. Most wins. Wasn't even close come finals. They lost, 3 games on that finals run last year? 4 games max. Jaylen Brown came in 15 pounds heavier. Looks like a macho man, Randy Savage. There's nothing to really say except the Celtics have all the pieces there and everything that can possibly be there for the taking. They got Kristaps. They got every weapon imaginable. A great coach, great staff, great fan base. Everything there to build the dynasty. It's up to them to perform. It's their championship to lose. They're like the Golden State Warriors when Steph was doing it. Count them in the finals right now. And it's either going to come down to an unbelievable talent, a.k.a. Anthony Edwards, a.k.a. LeBron in the Golden State Warriors era, to stop this team. So give me the Celtics as the number 1 team going into this year.
Yeah, I mean, I like your teams. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna, mix it up a little bit. I'm gonna have 3 Western Conference teams and I'm going to have 2 Eastern Conference teams. One of them being reach, actually. My number 5 team, I'm going with the Memphis Grizzlies. I really like what the Memphis Grizzlies are putting out there. John Morant,
My boy!
John Morant's coming back from injury. Marcus Smart's coming back from injury. You still have Desmond Bain. You still have Jaren Jackson Jr. and added Zach Edey from the draft. I really like what they were putting together here for a starting lineup. They have the bench presence because the bench actually started last year, so now that bench is ready to go. I like what I'm seeing from the Memphis Grizzlies and what they're doing. I'm going to say right now, Anthony Edwards is not on my list. I have his team at number 6, actually. So number 4, I'm going with the New York Knicks. I really like Karl Anthony Towns, Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby, Josh Hart, and Brunson. I just don't think that they have enough bench presence to get it done against a high team like the Boston Celtics, or even to go against Western Conference teams that have a bench presence like Denver Nuggets or something like that. I just can't put them above the next three teams that I have. Number three, I'm putting the Denver Nuggets. Denver Nuggets will always be on my list as long as they have Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic. Listen, it is what it is. They're the best 1-2 duo in the league right now. Maybe behind Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. It's
Yeah.
questionable though because they are all champions. So, but they had a bad year last year. They were hurt last year. Losing Contavious Caldwell Pope maybe was a blessing in disguise because you got rid of his big contract. Christian Braun, the guy that was the young guy that saved the team in the playoffs, now becomes your starting shooting guard, and then you have Russell Westbrook on the bench as your sixth man. I like what I'm seeing from the Denver Nuggets, the pieces that they're putting together. It could end up with Russell Westbrook actually being an NBA champion where he should be, and it's an exciting time to be a Denver Nuggets fan with this era of basketball. My number two, this is my Western Conference team this year that I am putting out there the same way that I put the New York Knicks out there last year. I'm taking the Sacramento Kings. They just picked up DeMar DeRozan. They have De'Aaron Fox still. They have Domantas Sabonis. Keegan Murray's still there. Malik Monk is still there. Herter spreads out the floor with a three-point shot. Adding DeMar DeRozan and the caliber player that he is, where they make the playoffs, and now after that they have that veteran leadership from DeMar. I'm liking what I see from the Sacramento Kings, and for right now, until further notice, because like I said, injuries could happen. There could be a lot of things that happen during the season, but the Sacramento Kings are right now my favorite to make it out of the Western Conference. And then after that, number one, it's clear. The Boston Celtics. The Boston Celtics are the team to beat right now. Jaylen Brown came ready. Jason Tatum's ready after that snub that he got in the USA Olympics and not playing. Then after that, Derek White, Drew Holiday, and Kristaps are all rested and ready to go. And on top of that, you also have everybody from your bench, and you added Lonnie Walker to the team. The team runs 10, 11 deep right now, and I'm liking what I've seen from the Boston Celtics. If there's going to be a dynasty, it's going to be from the Boston Celtics with this two duo that they got in Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, and I'm really liking what I'm seeing from the Boston Celtics.
Oh yeah, it's an exciting time to be a Boston sports fan, as always over the past 25 years, as we like to say so ourselves. The Sacramento Kings, interesting pick. I'm liking it. Only thing I have against that is the Malik Monk. It's 2, 3 years now. He should be going for 20, 30 a game, and he's not even playing half the games in the year for them.
Well, he's going to be a sixth man this year.
Oh.
So, and then the seventh man is going to be Herter. So I mean, they got a decent squad adding DeMar DeRozan to that team, and it
So
was
DeMar's
definitely
going to
needed.
start?
Yeah, DeMar DeRozan is going to be their
All
starting
right.
forward.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh, we'll have to see. It'll be interesting. Maybe Sacramento will get some wins against Golden State in that Bay Area rivalry as well, because Golden State's been killing them this past few years.
Yeah, I mean, adding DeMar DeRozan and putting the pieces where they should be now, it just opens up so much space on the floor because of that veteran leadership. Now De'Aaron Fox can do his thing and drive to the lane. He doesn't have to worry about shooting a mid-range shot because DeMar DeRozan's right there if he's not open for the shot. And then it leaves open Domantas Sabonis in the paint. I don't know that trio. If you run it the right way, aka triangle offense with that Mr. Phil Jackson perfected, then I think that they'll be all right.
We're going to have to see. Now, we got to move forward. We do have sad news that everybody probably knows. Matumbo, R.I.P. Passed away, 58 years old, a few days ago. Super young, super soon, super unexpected for me. Great player, iconic finger wag. I saw a video of him the other day block. I forget exactly who it was, but he blocked the same player 4 times on the same layup attempt, and it was just awesome to watch. Livezone, what do you have to say?
I mean, Dikembe was a legend on 3 different teams. He had 3 different careers. He started out on an Atlanta Hawks and Denver Nuggets team that really wasn't going anywhere without him. And he kind of made it exciting to watch those 2 teams after, especially with the Hawks losing Dominique Wilkins and Spud Webb, him being that guy that carried the torch forward for Hawks fans and everything like that. And then after that, obviously with the Denver Nuggets, I mean, he was in title contention, didn't get the job done. And then even later in his career when he was on the Philadelphia 76ers, I mean, being that second man to Allen Iverson, he's been great throughout his whole career, and he's honestly probably one of the funnier guys in an NBA locker room. And it sucks that, we have to say goodbye to it, but unexpected things happen. But yeah, rest in peace. And yeah, let's not lose too many more people because it sucks.
It sucks every time, and we also we know it's a basketball show, but we also got to bring up Pete Rose on the baseball side of things, also passing away on the same day. 2 legends gone. Pete Rose, at least more in his 80s compared to in his 50s, so a little less of a knife in the heart there, but I believe he had over 4,000 hits.
Yeah, and not even just that. One of the biggest disgraces in baseball history is to not have him in the Hall of Fame. So I'm sure that the MLB will be putting him in the MLB Hall of Fame shortly. But yeah, he definitely deserves to be there. He should have gotten it when he was alive, and unfortunately, he passed as well. So give him his flowers and rest in peace to Pete Rose.
I never understood why they won't let him in the game if we can do what he did now on an app.
Yeah, so. But off of the sad things, we have a lot more to talk with you about for basketball, for football, and even baseball, MMA, hockey, whatever it is. Make sure that you're continuing to stay with us and the progression that we're bringing to you. And with that being said, stay tuned.